achieve success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne.
Yay! Another Africa Business Talks. Welcome, everyone. If you're here, drop us a comment, say hello, say hi, say where you join us from, say anything you want to say, really. Just say something. If you don't say anything, then we don't really know you're here. Michael, Henry, so glad you're here. How are you two doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Better for having you here, my friend. Better for having you here to advise us, guide us, essentially. So I'd love to have your insights in this conversation. The day's going. Someone said to me earlier, and you never talk about yourself. I do. When I'm given a chance, but most of the time, no one wants to hear about me, right? They want to hear from you, Michael. They want to hear from you, Henry. So glad you're here.
Thank
All right,
you.
Henry, talk to us. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. We're here in Uganda, where the sun is always shining. Plenty of opportunities every day. We're doing all right.
Excellent. Well, I suppose it ties into our conversation today then. Everyone is thriving in Africa. That's right. Okay. I suppose I might as well say, my thing is book publishing and events. If you need my help, don't be shy. Get in touch. So I think I got new clients in Cameroon yesterday, publishing a book, and then doing what we do, hopefully make her a bestseller in that process. We can help you to get in touch, and that's what I would say, right? So of course, I am British, but I'm Nigerian at heart, and then you're gonna find that I'm Ghanaian at heart as well. I'll leave that for another day. I'll leave that for a different event. But I'll explain all of that when I get on William's stage in Ghana to explain to me why I'm Ghanaian. But I really am. Honestly, I amuse myself. Look, of course, having lived in Nigeria, there's issues, things that bug me, my friends. Because when I look back now, 50 years of my life on Earth, it seems that the same issues keep recurring, never changing, right? So that's what this room is based on. I think we need to begin to talk about the issues that we as a people, as Africans, have. Because these issues, they hold us back. They hold us back as individuals, as professionals, as businesses, as entrepreneurs, and they also hold us back even as countries. I've missed out the communities, village towns and states and so on and so forth. But essentially, these issues hold us back. Now, so today, my problem, my thing, my topic, my pain, it's this strange reality that we have. Do we have a jobs problem in Africa? Yes, I think we do. Unemployment is an issue. Let's not shy away from it, right? But we import people to come and work for us in Africa. African countries, big businesses import people to come and work for them. Whereas the youth still can't get the jobs that are there. They can't get jobs full stop. Something's amiss, right? Of course, we have this, is it a wonderful phenomenon? It could be wonderful, but we have this reality that many Africans start businesses. The businesses don't grow, they don't thrive, they don't become profitable. Eventually, before we know it, they stay micro, eventually start going backwards, and then they close. I see many people online these days from African countries. And again, it's a question I'm going to bring back one day. That many will have at least 20 things on their tagline on LinkedIn for what they do. They do in the cybersecurity, they do content writing, they do marketing, they do web design, they do email, they do electricity, they do, I don't know, everything you can think of, they have on there, right? It's almost as if they think, the more I do, the more generalist I am, the more employable I will be. That's just not true. That's not true, right? There's something now about how we need to specialize, become good at something, become good at things that we do. So all of this leads to the skills issue, right? A lot of people don't simply appreciate that half of our problems in Africa comes down to the skills that we don't have. The skills that our businesses need, the skills that we need as individuals, as professionals, as individuals, not just to work in our homeland or in our community, but also even if we want to work abroad, if we want to work remotely, we need skills. We need real skills, deep skills. But I feel like we're missing something. Let me hear from my friends Henry and Michael, and then I should play the first of my 2 videos I got for you today.
I've got a question for you, Annie.
Go for it, my friend.
And I gotta pose this way because I really want the truth and out of you, and even out of Henry. How, since you're a businessman, can you give us a brief synopsis of how you build a business in Britain? And then Henry, I do not know if you're a businessman, but if you can also give us a brief of how you build a business in Uganda, I'd certainly appreciate it.
Michael, that's a huge question. What do you mean? How do you build a business?
No, just be brief based on what you're trying to say. Just be brief on how it should be properly done, how it should be done properly. Certain, there's sequences that you follow, and then you continue, and be as broad as you need to be, because yes, we're limited in time, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, and also this is something I think we do need to learn as a people. One of our biggest skills gaps is learn how to build a business, learn how to build a business properly, right?
Absolutely, that's a skill gap for sure.
Yes, I agree. Okay, look, now to build a business, I guess you have to have a solution to a problem. Whether that's a product or a service, right? Something that helps people essentially. So we'll start there. If you can see that solution, whether you're going to create it or whether you're going to refine something that other people are doing already, then at least you have a start, because people might actually pay you for that thing, whatever it is, right? And then so once you create it, of course, you have to create the process to deliver that solution consistently and even at scale, right? Because you just may be successful, maybe, and but just getting started is hard. And then I think once you get started, once you have that solution that you can deliver at scale, then you need to find a way to bring more people into your business. You need more hands, more people to grow. So there's so much a man can do, a woman can do in themselves. There's so much I can do in a day, for example. But I need a team, right? And so that other people who are skilled, people who are passionate, people who are driven by my values, the values of my business. As long as they're driven to serve my customers. Maybe have entrepreneurial skills themselves, so they can think like a business person rather than just think like a worker. I'm just here to get paid. They'll pay me, and then if I do nothing, it doesn't matter. That's not how it works, right? a team that's committed and driven. Of course, you need humongous amount of marketing. It's not just marketing. Don't say marketing as marketing. But you need to build relationships with the people who you're there to serve. Now, it's more than marketing. It's about caring for those who you're there to serve. Now, so I say, welcome, Lisa. I do see you. Lisa is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? Now, Lisa works with people in menopause. Yes, of course, we all need to make money. Of course we do. And we spend a lot of time doing marketing. But Lisa has a passion for her target group, like women in menopause and men in andropause. They will need that passion to keep doing what we do regardless. Keep helping people regardless, whether they can pay, whether they pay, how much they pay. It's not really the important thing. It's about delivering that solution, right? Over time, Michael, we have to learn how to get better and how to run better businesses ourselves. We have to learn how to even improve our skills, improve what we do in our business. If you're in the same place in what you know and how you do what you do, a year from when you start, then you're going backwards. We need to learn how to improve and go forwards. Go forwards means we create better solutions, better processes. We delight our clients even more by giving them better results. And then from there, opportunities will come to you. You might find partnerships. You might, find a way to suddenly, do what I call U squared. In other words, you improve your performance and deliverables exponentially. Not by doing more, but by doing things differently. I'll leave it there for now, Michael.
All right.
So
Henry,
for me,
how about you?
So for me, the bulk of the challenge of setting up the business lies in the planning, which is your foundations. So the business plan, which will outline the strategies. We have to get a good business plan in place. We have to make sure that this money is there for funding it. Typically, it really depends on the business, but typically when you start a business, like Annie said, you put a lot into the marketing promotion. So you have to make sure that there's money for that before you get started. And then after that, you go about getting your clients and retaining them, making sure that, if it's something that they can come back and buy from you, they will. And just holding a steady position and evolving as new ideas come in and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I think that's really a short summary of.
Okay. Considering all those conditions that you have mentioned, which one of them is the one that lacks the least skill in Africa, that as you see it, is the one that requires a lot, skill? Africans require more skills in, as you see it, as you see Africa today.
Customer retention.
Go on, Henry. I'll let you speak first, and I'll do mine with multimedia.
Sorry, I think that if I understand the question you're asking, which one of these processes requires more skill? Is that right?
Yes. Which one of them is really in demand in Africa?
I think that the planning, obviously, is the most obvious answer, to be honest, because that's where the vast majority of businesses go wrong. But I mean, in Africa, if you're talking about me, I guess I have a slightly different education. But when I look around me, I genuinely, one of the questions I've always asked myself, and I always ask everybody and challenge them on, is what made you go into business? And you find that people generally don't go into business for the same reasons that, like, someone in the UK has gone into business. Am I making sense?
Perfect sense, my friend. Perfect sense. Please carry on.
Yeah. So when you find it in that way, it's more of a challenge for you to kind of be like, well, you should be doing this or you should be doing that, or you should be having more skills in this area, because you know there's a totally different objective in mind. But going back to your question, I think it would be in the planning. Obviously, um, you, there's a certain amount of research that needs to be done to get the business where you want it to be. You have to be patient. You have to study, maybe study methods, or you know, look at other areas. And I think that can be a challenge sometimes.
I agree with you, Henry. There is something, Natalie says, resend the stage link. You've got it already. You've been here twice, Nat. So it's the same link. Look on your WhatsApp. Yeah, it's it's in the links in the comments page, comment section of the event page as well, Nat. So if you want to copy and paste it into your browser, I should put it here for you. There you go. Click this link to join the stage right there on the studio. But Michael, the truth is this: Africans struggle with all those skills. I mean, Henry has a point about planning, right? Because it is said almost as if it's a good thing. Africans don't like to plan. We just like to do. Almost that it's missing a fundamental part of business, if you ask me, right? But not many ask me, but you ask me, so I told you more. But I think we've got a bigger issue, Michael. We struggle in all the areas that we can think of because I don't know what. Maybe that's. I'm hoping we'll shed light on this today. I'm hoping we'll shed light on it by coming back to how you learned your skills, Michael. And as an engineer, you are doing something that many African parents preach for their children. I mean, look, when I was a kid in Africa, I mean, in Nigeria, it was quite simple. Your kids wanted you to be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, and that was it, right? That was it. I'm saying that is what we tend to aim for. We want our kids to be workers. But not every business needs those skills. The doctor, the medical, legal, and so on and so forth, right? They might do. Many companies do. But the world of work, what the business has different requirements. Give me 3 minutes to watch my video, then you see what I mean, hopefully. Natalie, welcome. I see you. So glad you're here. I'll come back to you in a minute, Nat. I'll let you introduce yourself as well. Here goes my video.
And a new survey shows that almost 80% of large firms are struggling to recruit key talent, risking stalled growth and missed opportunities. With global competition for scarce expertise heating up, is our immigration system still fit for purpose, or are we blocking the very people that we need the most? Joining us now is Marissa Jacobs, Managing Director at ExpatWeb. It's the company behind the country's leading critical skills survey. Marissa, welcome. And you paint a grim picture of skill shortages in South Africa. How much of this, in your opinion, is due to a failure by business itself to invest in local talent development, or is the problem bigger than that?
Hi, Jeremy. Thanks so much for having me. And I really do believe the problem is larger than that. If we look at the survey amongst businesses, which we've been running since 2017, we are very specific in terms of asking businesses how much do they invest in terms of skills transfer, succession planning, and the numbers are overwhelmingly over 80%. But business is very aware that they need to be transferring skills, developing local talent. If we look at the numbers in terms of the percentages of foreign talent in versus local talent being developed, the percentages are are significant into the South African talent space. So businesses are not bringing in large volumes of talent. They are being very sparing in terms of the skills that they bring in, because obviously they're difficult to recruit and they're expensive, and the immigration system is hard to navigate. So the preference is always to look for local talent. But there is definitely a skills gap in South Africa, which is aided by obviously South Africans who leave to look for opportunities abroad. And that skills gap has to be supplemented, as it does everywhere internationally, with foreign skills. And the survey shows that remains pertinent in order to fill the gap in the short term.
Marissa, of course, the two words talent and skills are really a catch-all phrase. Where specifically is the problem? Where's the skills logjam here?
So that's what we try to ascertain every year in terms of the skills survey. So the new skills survey has just opened up this week, where we're trying to get latest information from business to ask, what are the skills at the moment, looking at how business is progressing, what are the new skills that business is looking for. If we look at the results from the past few years, it remains in areas such as engineering, ICT, more and more with AI and technology coming in, healthcare professionals, C-suite professionals. We see in the financial profession quite a lot, and even areas such as marketing and business development increasingly becoming more complex, and with the business world becoming more global, looking for that global talent to bridge the gap in terms of expansions.
Marissa?
Michael, you see how I've answered your question. We have a problem in every sector, pretty much. We don't learn enough.
Good morning.
Agriculture, you might say we think we have the skills because most of it is raw power, and it's having energy and power, right? But everything has become computerized. Everything has become technology based. So even agriculture, as I'm sure I'm sure you know, if you talk to Dr. Amaka, for example, that technology is everything, but we don't have the knowledge to use the technology on scale, on a mass scale. And this is not a tiny problem. This is a huge problem. It's holding our companies back. I mean, 80% of companies struggle to get these people the right skills. That's a shocker. 8 out of 10. Why are we not educating ourselves, our young people, our professionals, to go and take the jobs, to go and take the opportunities that are there? And if you start a business in Africa, I know what's going to happen. Like I say, you will eventually run into that wall, and eventually you're going to go bankrupt. Growth and scale are things that can only happen with the right talent, right skills, right people, which we don't seem to have. Anyway, let me stop preaching. Let me work on some of our friends, and then I'll come to you, Nat. So Vanessa, welcome. Glad you're here, all the way from Nigeria. So glad to have you here. Who else I see? That's me. So that's a link. If you want to join the studio, copy and paste this link into your browser. Otherwise, the link is in the comments, so you can just click on any comments. Or on here, you have to copy and paste it into your browser. So Nat, you're here. Nat, okay. Wagnesh, I see you. Glad you're here. Yakub, welcome. I can't see you here, but tonight I know you're here because Natalie says you are, right? And Professor Roxana, always good to see you. How are you doing? A true superstar. Glad you're here. Of course, I'm glad you're here. So superstar. Well, and an even bigger superstar, Dr. Lisa, I call her. Yeah, she's here as well. Menopause expert. So we have a show, Dr. Lisa and I. Lisa the Genius is what I must call her. Her next event is tonight at 10 o'clock UK time. Is that 4 hours from now? Yeah. So do join us. We're talking about male menopause, andropause. And we have the male menopause, the guru, Satsagu, come and share with us. So connect with Lisa first of all, and then do join us for our show tonight. Alavine, welcome, welcome. So Alavine is she's on what is it, Indian Ocean? Think South Africa on the map. There are some islands just on the right of South Africa, some little islands. Now, they're not Africa, but they're not part of Africa in that sense. And it's more a French colony, a French-speaking nation. So, and it seems like a wonderful place to live, I must say. So it does. It looks beautiful. So I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much. Oh, Nat, you managed to. Nat, you have to turn your microphone on, otherwise I can't bring you back on stage, right? It says device is not connected, so you need to turn your microphone and your camera on, and you can keep them off while you're on stage. I can't help you otherwise. I can't bring you up at all. So Yakub, I do see you now. So glad you're here. Kingsley, thank you for joining us. Who else do I see? Owen, you made it, Owen. I love Owen. Owen is just he's one of my true star, because whenever I post an event, before I hit post or publish, Owen's already commented. I don't know how he sees them before I go out, but literally he's on it every time these days. Owen, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for joining us as well. I know Owen's in the UK, so hopefully I'll tell you what he does before we leave today. Anyone else? Tracy, I see you as well now. Welcome, Tracy. It's our Audible books expert, and she does her events as well. So do connect with her. And Peace, I see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Okay, Natalie, you're on stage. I'm glad you turned some of your sound on, right? Oh, there you go. So now I'm going to come to you first, right? Alavin says, yes, it's Reunion Island, a French place with people from all around the world. There's a tourist part of it, but they are mostly French speaking. But it looks like paradise. Then they said the only thing I lament, Alavin, is the fact that you can't swim anywhere. You can't swim everywhere. But let's put it that way, right? Because there's sharks in the water. So that's kind of a bummer. But of course, they've got rivers and internal waterways that you can swim. But it's a truly beautiful place. Do connect with her and learn more about this island that's so close to Africa. But I never knew anything about it at all. Anyway, enough talking from me. Natalie, how are you doing? Now you have to mute.
Yeah. Hi, Annie. Hi, everybody. It's nice to catch up with everybody. I'd like to say thank you for the invitation, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone that's spoken previously. I think you all raised good points so far. I do think that there's too much generalisation with regards to disparities within Africa. So to bring a bit of balance, with regards to your questions, Annie, the skills question, as you know, is multifaceted. So it's quite a complicated issue, because there's not just common factors, there's unusual factors as well. For instance, there's currently geopolitical issues. There's actual violent conflicts from region to region, and there's also climate and weather issues that are causing devastation and displacing people. So that makes the multifaceted issue of which skills are needed and where there's skills shortages, it makes it a lot more complicated. But I'd say the top skills would be information tech and digital services, logistics and supply chain, healthcare, construction, infrastructure, finance and business analytics. There's quite a few. So I think that's another reason why, in answer to your insights earlier, Annie, that is one of the biggest reasons why Africans are training in the process of, and have become within the older generations, multidisciplinary like myself, because it's not about having the skills just in case. It's that these skills are actually needed to navigate the current geopolitics and other crises that are occurring. As one of your previous speakers, I'm sorry, I don't have very good vision, so I didn't see your tag, and I'm not sure if I know you, but he mentioned that there are reasons that people in the UK do certain things with regards to employment and entrepreneurship are quite different to the reasons in Africa. And I would agree in some regions, but in other regions that have more economic resource, and have access to clean water, regular food and things like this, obviously they are actually, their social economic, shall we say, is more in line with the UK and the US than generally with other parts of Africa. But I'm going to shut up now because I could go on about this forever. I'm very passionate about addressing all these disparities, and I think it's important that we're having this conversation today, and I'd love to hear everybody else's insights. Thank you.
Awesome. Look, I think we can accept is there are many reasons, many parts. So I remember in Nigeria, and I still see it now. So now, when I say I remember Nigeria, and I'm talking I left Nigeria when I was 13, 87. That's years ago, right? Donkeys of years ago. And unemployment was ridiculous. So people used to leave school and then hang out in the streets across the road from my granddad's compound, hoping and praying that someone's going to give them work to do, right? So I don't think it's general, Natalie, is my point. I think there's an inherent issue, and yes, okay, maybe we can't solve all the issues that lead to unemployment, but I think our skills shortage is one of the reasons. Companies don't see what they need in the people around, and the people that we educate, the people that we throw out, we pump out the education system. If anything, those who do well, many Africans, it's not a brain thing, it is something, because Africans who go abroad, and I won't call the diaspora, they tend to do well. They create solutions, they create genius, right? But those who are back home don't seem able or willing to do what it takes on that level to create real solutions, to put it all in to transform the businesses. Is it skills? Is it personality? I'm sure there's a personality. It's a mindset. That's probably more than a personality. That's about personality and mindset. I think they go together, right? How you think and who you be. That determines what you do, right? We have a genuine problem. When you say Africa has an issue around basic needs, whether it's electric, whether it's food, whether it's security. That's how society is built. That's how everything works. Maslow's hierarchy of needs tells us it, Natalie. We will build a foundation where our basic needs are met, and then we'll move up to start worrying about high order needs, social relationships, and then all the way to self-actualization, using our genius to be even greater than we can ever imagine. We need to develop the skills, first of all, is my point. Now, Michael, talk to me. What are you thinking?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Get nearer to the microphone. That's always good, right?
Yeah. Right now I'm on a speakerphone, and that's because I have a fellow Nigerian here who's also interested and would like to, at some point, provide his input as well.
Give him the mic, Michael. Give him the mic. Why are we listening to you? If he's got someone another point of view, let's hear from him. I'll come back to you. So take it back. That's what you
Oh, well, he's telling me that I should go ahead. He's trying to get used to you, Annie. He's not used to me yet. Stop scaring people away, please.
Go on, Michael. So share with us.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. The way this is what I'm thinking. It is true. Economic resources are required. Food are required. Healthcare is required. These are basic things that are provided by the state, the government. Mm-hmm. When you go abroad, these things are provided. They're there, and that is how you see Africans thrive. Exactly. Because they take that little bit that they're unable to get, and they are satisfied, and they calm down, and they focus on becoming an entrepreneur and pursuing the skills that they need in order to get into specific areas, jobs that they want to get into. The political environment is stable, so they are not afraid of being shot. They are not afraid of being swindled. They're not afraid. Everything is molded such that they can work within the parameters that they have been given. Exactly. Yeah. Right now, what you're seeing in Africa, especially in Nigeria, is a state that has gone bonkers. Government support is not there. Guidelines are not there, and they keep on shifting and turning and switching every which way. People cannot really sit down. Entrepreneurs are struggling to sit down and say, okay, I can do this, and within 5 years, no, because every year the things change. The environment changes. Now he has to struggle for this. Now he has to struggle for that. He has to struggle for the basic things, economic resources. He has to struggle for food. He has to struggle for healthcare. He's forgetting. He's like, screw the skills. I need food. I need healthcare. I need a small amount of money just to cover food and healthcare and the children, and the wife. And then there's the family, the extended family, because everybody is struggling. Everybody needs food, and they have big families. They don't have small families. They don't manage. They don't seem to manage that way. No, they have big families. So these, if you consider each and every one of those other people, these conditions are multiplied, and the burden is multiplied upon them in order to provide. And that burden is huge compared to people in the United States or in Europe or in Korea, where the political system is stabilized. They have a roadmap, parameters that they can follow, that they can understand a structure. Nigeria's structure is not logical.
There's no enabling environment.
Yes, the environment is not meaningful for them. So that what Natalie has pointed out is really an environment that does not support skills development. It does not support skills. That's why you see people getting out. That's why you see really smart Africans leaving, going to places where they can develop their skills, where they can do all those things. And guess what? Because the environment in Africa does not change and does not become a lot more inviting to entrepreneurs, they remain in the countries that they went to, where they have become doctors, where they have become lawyers, where they have become accountants, where they have become politicians, where they have become IT people with excellent logistic skills. And they're the ones who are driving their economies in those countries. The best of the best. They are not only in Europe, they're in America, they're in Asia, they're Australia, China. The numbers are staggering where they are. Mm-hmm. So we need to address that first in order to address the skills, because we Africans can get there. But the government has to provide a roadmap, an education system that provides for it, and at the same time they're going to provide food, healthcare, security, which they're incapable of doing, and that is why we're entrepreneurs in Africa are having a hard time trying to figure it out, and that's why they're also going for all these other different types of skills, just trying to figure out what can I use, because they need them all. They cannot focus on one; they need them all just to survive. I leave it there. If anyone wants to chip in.
Does your
Really
friend,
hasn't.
does your friend want to add to the conversation in that sense? I could hear in the background. So, I know, I'm sure you speak as one. Look, a logical conclusion from what you're saying, Michael, is that we're doomed. That's one way of looking at it, right? Everything is so bad that we might as well, we haven't got the basics, so we have no hope.
Let me shed some light. Dangote, the billionaire, has created Dangote oil in the factory, or what do you call it? What is it that he's done? He's created a refinery, which, if he gets all the oil from Nigeria, and Nigerian state is the one that owns that, then he can supply Africa with oil. But I'm hearing that he's actually buying oil from America, from Netherlands, from other external sources, instead of getting it from Nigeria. Because what he's bought from Nigeria, the Nigerian state is not supplying on time and properly. In other words, they are working against him. That is also something that you got to think about. But he has not given up. And maybe this is a good thing, because now he can look at other African states who can provide him with oil, and go there and get his oil and build up what he needs. Right now, he's currently going to the United States, but eventually he'll have all the oil he needs from within the African states. That way, distributing the economic resources, helping those countries to become politically stable and also economically stable, because he's paying. But that's a direction. That's a good direction. He's opening up businesses in Ethiopia. From the west coast to the east coast, he's gone all the way there to open up a business. Not necessarily oil, but it is associated with oil, because you have to build roads. And that's what he's very good at. That was his first business. That's how he became such a billionaire. But he's incredible with respect to that, and he is opening up a shop in East Africa, of all places, from West Africa to East Africa. And that is awesome, and that is positive. So we're not at a loss. There is good news. I leave it up to you, Annie. Please continue.
There are many who are successful. LinkedIn user, it's a great day all, and I can't see who you are to welcome you properly. Let me look. No. So I'm gonna look at my LinkedIn event page. Oh, Dr. Yvonne, how are you doing? I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, Dr. Yvonne and we're going live probably next week. From what sounds like, we're gonna meet tomorrow and sort out our topic, and then we shall bring Dr. Yvonne's message and solutions to the world. Yeah, I'm excited. And Dr. Yvonne does a work when I help Africans to set up micro businesses. That's her real passion. That's one of her passions in life, right? Look, I think we have I think what I'm hearing from you, Michael, is that we can, despite the difficulty of our situations, right? We can be successful. I mean, Dr. Leslie just joined. Dr. Leslie is, in Africa, not just Nigeria, it's in Africa, and he's building businesses. Now, let me talk to him for a second. Dr. Leslie, you're my CEO as well, so bear with me. So let's hear from Dr. Leslie. I'll come to you. Thanks for joining us on stage. Dr. Leslie, now you run businesses, right? What's the skills issue for Africans? I mean, so far my friends here have told me, oh well, it's not our fault. We haven't got the basic needs, so we can't work on skill development. I'd say our skills aren't good enough. We're not good enough at anything. To really take our business out and our company to the next level. What say you? You employ people. Dr. Leslie, come back. But don't be on mute. Hopefully you're not talking to yourself on mute, right? So, okay. So what Dr. Leslie works out his sound, hopefully he'll come back in a second. How are you doing? Oh, who spoke? Someone spoke.
That was me, Annie. I was going to say, toward the end, if you can give me a couple of minutes, I would like to put a face on, sort of give an overview face to the issues, because knowledge is power, because then everyone that has attended and is going to listen to this podcast and watch this podcast will be able to act on that information. And then they will be able to obviously connect and collaborate, because that's what's needed. Education and mental health are key to addressing the lethargy, as well as the disparities that some of us have already mentioned on this issue. And I give stage to you. Thank you, Vinny.
Someone's sending me loads of pictures. I don't understand who it is. Okay, that journey, 37 pictures, 47 so far, 50. It just keeps going up. Anyway, whatever. I'll get to that in good time, right? No, of course, you get your chance to speak, Natalie. I'm more than happy to give you the mic. You see, part of me thinks this is, we need to start as individuals. It's very easy to put the problems that we have on the government, on the macro level. But everything starts with individuals. You mentioned Dan Gote, for example. I'm saying that's an individual. And I look at Dr. Leslie again. He's an individual. I'm sure you know many individuals who are doing in Africa. Henry is in Uganda, and he's building an internet company. I'm saying there's many people who are doing good stuff. Surely, and we have to be one of those. We have to be more intentional, more determined with our efforts for ourselves. We have to be willing to do what it takes to learn the skills we need. But I think we don't know what skills we need in the first place. What are we learning? Is my question today. What are we learning? Are we learning the right things? I don't think we are. That's my personal thoughts. But that's whatever you can give us before we leave, I'll take, right? How are you doing? Please unmute if you're going to share with us. Okay, we'll not be Okay. Michael, we'll come back to you then. Because you're still here, right? Michael.
Yes, I'm still here. Give me a minute.
Yeah. So, look, you know people in Africa, you know people in Uganda, especially, at least, right?
Yes.
Do you know those who are succeeding, Michael?
There's a company called the Simba Group. I can't quite remember the name of the fella, the CEO of that group, but it's one of the top companies in Uganda that has been, and he's a very entrepreneurial man, the CEO, and that has been very successful in the space of Uganda. The skills that he's talking about are pretty much what you have indicated. He's like a Dangote. He's everywhere, and at the same time, he's also learning from the ground up. His story is spectacular because, um, and not only spectacular but a little peculiar as well. But his drive is incredible. Simba Group in Uganda. I can't quite remember his name. I haven't been following him for a while, but he's a very successful person, and he is the kind of person that I would recommend in line with Vusi Sembekwaya as well. Not necessarily in the same area in terms of businesses, but definitely the same drive and very pro African.
Okay, thank you.
When I get his name, I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, there are examples to my point. There are people who are succeeding, and we can learn from them. Of course, I'm going to come back to you in good time, Michael, because, like I said, as an engineer, I want if you can share with us how you got to where you are, in terms of learning, in terms of vision, in terms of ambition, in terms of maybe even process, right? But I'll come to that in a second. Let me say, Vanessa, I hear you, I see you. Vanessa say it's hard here, that's in Nigeria, but we try to see the opportunities and possibilities rather than the challenges. That's what it takes to succeed, right? We have to rise above our challenges. Otherwise, we're stuck. Once I go home and call quits and accept we're going to live a life of hardship. Christiana, welcome. I see you. Glad you're here. I'd love to hear some of your stories, Christiana, because I say, of course, you know Nigeria very well. So I'm glad you're here. Dr. Yvonne, you're back. Yes. Yes. And look, now Vusi is a venture capitalist, right? And you must realize that before I got here today, before I got here to set up this event, I listened to him. And what I'm saying is not far from what he's saying. I've watched his TED talks. Of course, they are sandbox type events. Those TED talks, right? You can't give the full picture on anything because you have limited time. But he's saying exactly what I'm talking about, right? Right. Any look at the recent Forbes list? Yes. Okay. So look, I'm not saying that I agree that we can do, but those in the diaspora do. This is our problem. For the average African, so the people here in the audience, people that we know, the people that we talk to, people that we meet on LinkedIn, people that we meet on the streets of Africa, our companies, they don't have the skills they need. It's not like 10% unemployment rate, which is extremely high. We're talking ridiculous digits of unemployment in almost every African country, almost every single one. We need to truly learn the skills. One, we need to learn the skills our businesses need. So part of those skills is how we build a business. And we talked about planning that way, but there's a lot more to that, right? Management skills we haven't got. AI skills that are here now that we need, we're not getting. Yes, diversity, diversity is not overnight. Of course, it's not overnight. There's no overnight success. Success takes years. It takes years of doing, years of struggle, years of failure, years of trying things that don't work. But persist. We do have that vision for how we're going to make society better. Is what we need. It's what we do, right? Yes, of course, I agree with you. It takes time to build, but we all know this, right? Again, when I look at many Africans that I know, many, I don't say all, I said many, they don't give themselves the time. And part of that time is learning the skills. We can't just learn once and say that's it. Michael, let's talk about your engineering skills, my friend. I know you're a genius at engineering. You know, how did it come to pass, Michael, that you're an engineer? Five, four, three, two, one. Michael, you're not talking to me. Okay. Dr. Leslie, you're not talking to me?
Sorry. Can you repeat? I was in the middle of a conversation. Go ahead.
So what would you like say? Like, you're Ugandan, essentially, right? How did you become an engineer? What's the journey you went on?
All right. So I started off learning electronics when I was in primary school. We just had it was a hobby. I just joined it because I thought it was interesting. No big deal. Just, hey, let me just learn some electronics. Let me see what it's all about. From there, and it was just a little bit of it. And then I went to I was taken to school. I went to school in Europe, secondary school, and there I joined an electronics club and continued pursue my electronics interest. I came back to Africa, Ethiopia, and my dad gave me the option to either go to continue going into high school or to join a what do you call it an Ethiopian aviation maintenance technician school where I get my diploma and then learn from there, go from there. I picked that, and I picked a course that was associated with electronics, and that was avionics, and that's what I finished. Then from there, I came to the United States, pursued a degree in avionics. After, and that was the last degree that I've got, and I haven't gone and pursued anything else aside from I did continuous training because you need to actually continuously build up on your skills and the demands of the job. So I did a combination of not only avionics engineering, but I also did software engineering as well, or software programming, while I was in college, because that was also a skill that I was interested in, but at the same time, it was also a skill that was in demand by other companies as well. I was just pursuing that just to get knowledge into it. So I learned two types of programming skills, Ada and also C programming. It was C programming that got me the job that I initially started right after college, and it basically became really good at it because I went into what we call an embedded software engineering. In other words, talking to machines using their language. For 6 years at the first workplace that was in, and then from there it's just history. I just continued developing my not only programming skills but also my drafting skills in order to relay the information that I needed to relay to the technicians on the floor to install avionics and electronic equipment into an aircraft or into a simulator or into anything, basically. And I delved into mechanical engineering later on, way later on, just as a thing to do because one of our customers for a company I was working for needed somebody in order to evaluate a thermodynamic, just a thermodynamic, what do you call it, thermostat. Yeah, there's something that goes hot and cold and tells you what temperature the environment is in. So I had to do a environmental analysis document, create an environmental analysis document that indicated that particular equipment was okay to put in an engine that was going to be used. It was a LEAP one of the engines that you see flying around these days in a commercial jet engine. So, and I had to present that document, create it, and submit it for FAA evaluation and also approval for the installation of that equipment into the engine, and subsequent engines that were built after that. So you develop many skills as a result, but the biggest skill that you need to have that I think is most valuable is communication. You need to be able to communicate your ideas and in writing, orally, and today you need to also develop your skills to communicate. You need to develop your ideas. You know, you have to do podcasting, videos. This is because you master once you master your environment, or once you master what it is that you're seeking to master, you need to be able to relay that information to other people, to the community. Because until you do that, and the community understands your value, and the community will then start buying what you got. Because they don't understand what you got until you tell them, until you let them understand that you are valuable. And the only way you can do that is writing, talking, video displays right now, where you communicate your ideas and most importantly, communicate your value. So that's how in a short synopsis, um, I develop my skills. There are other ways. There are times where I have to actually, I do not go into the nitty gritty, how hard it was, and all that stuff. But it just gives you a trajectory of how I got to where I am today because of I've been what I've been practicing to do and what I've been focused on doing, and that is communicating what I know and learning what I know, such that it's part of my bones, in my bones, how I work. This gentleman that was over here with me has indicated that he's never seen an African that is not capable. He's never seen that, ever. So I'm kind of very impressed. We have the potential. We have the potential, but we do need the resources, economic resources. We do need mental health care to guard our mental health care so that we can focus on the skills that we need to develop. We need, and then when we say mental health, when we talk about mental health care, we're also talking about food in order to provide energy to our brains. But there's also a much better example, and that's the example of Burkina Faso. The political environment in Burkina Faso has changed. Has changed what, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
About. But the environment he has created, enabling his people to rally behind him, and not only to rally behind him, but to actually have people from the diaspora to leave their places of work and their places of development and to come and develop in Burkina Faso. That is a game changer. And that is significant. That just tells you that if you have the environment, the right political system, the right injection of knowledge and skills, and you also have people who really want to change. And Africans really want to change. No, and you also need the energy. So there are a bunch of young people there. 6 years.
Exactly.
It can happen.
It can happen.
It can happen.
It'll be a long time.
It's not long. And you can even do it in shorter amounts of time, but you have got the environment, the people behind these. The government support is required. Government focus is required. Protection, security, healthcare, food, building infrastructure. We got the energy. We can build our own infrastructure, for God's sake. Just help enable us to do it. Enable. The government is supposed to be an enabler.
Exactly.
You don't want me to pull the word ridiculable, because really, it is ridiculable. that we're unable to do this. Most of Africa is unable to do this. It's ridiculous, incredibly ridiculous, or ridiculously incredible. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Annie. I took a little longer than.
No. A complete picture definitely helps, right? Look, there's things that you're saying there. Healthcare, we know, is a skill shortage sector. And we know, it's one that's not funded by the government. The basic things we need, Mike. I said, the essentials of life, the basic needs that we have. I say, so even safety and security, food, as you keep saying. I guess it always feels a bit like asking the fire for heat and then saying, when you give me heat, I'll put wood into the fire. In other words, the skills gaps that we have, the skills shortages, it affects everything, drags everything else down. That's why we don't have basic needs. Now, those who do have the skills that we need have basic needs met.
Positively.
Right. So let's not leave thinking that we can just, well, because we don't have everything given to us, then we can't do anything. You mentioned the time it takes, Michael. The fact that you have to be driven to do what you want to do, be driven to learn, be focused on learning.
Yes.
Right. These are not secrets. And we live in 2025, my friends, where I was going to ask, who do we need to learn from? Who's teaching us? Who's teaching our kids, in other words? That's looking at the education system. But I think we as professionals, as businesses, as adults, we can look towards the internet to learn real skills. There's nothing you can't do from anywhere these days, right? Even it's in every African country. If you have a mobile phone, you can essentially, you can learn anything. You can even do a degree remotely. It's on us to put ourselves out there, to find the opportunities and take them. If we start a business, let's take the time. Michael mentioned time. Let's take the time to learn. Let's take the time to learn about how to build a business, how to run a business. Let's take the time to learn our niche, our market, our industry. Let's take the time to learn our, what our customers need in terms of the solution I want to give them. Let's actually learn. Learning is at the heart of everything. Let's never be satisfied that we know enough, because we never do, right? They say, the more you know, the more you know you don't know. This is yes, I agree with you. No, it's if I think we could do a catch-all. I'm sure that's Christiana saying poor education system does not help. I agree. See, but here's the wonderful thing about African education system. The infrastructure is a whole different conversation about education. The classrooms, the schools. Goodness me, we would not even entertain our kids in the UK in any of those schools. See, but here's Michael mentioned communication skills that we have to learn. And see, Michael, that's one thing I came away from Nigeria with. I truly learned writing, reading, and comprehension. I was god awful at maths. I had no idea about maths at all. Yes, I was doing timetable in Nigeria. But I had not a clue about anything else. Pretty much. the other subjects, the breadth of knowledge is shocking in the school system. Alas, we've had to learn post school, post education, in post primary and post secondary school. Because there's a lot more to learn than the basic skills. But those basic skills, Michael, as you said, they set you up for two things. I said, me, when I came to England at 13, I was amazed I knew better English than the English people did. That's ridiculous, Michael. That's amazing. I could write better, I could spell better, I could speak better English than the English kids, which was just weird. But I think, is that a good thing? Of course, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because most of our content, most of our information, most of our learning is going to be in English anyway. I was thinking earlier whether one can demand that everything's translated to the local language in Nigeria, for example. No, they can't. Unless you create that technology, my friends, you could do, right? Now, I'm sure ChatGPT can translate many things into Yoruba, for example.
Well, anyway, let me interrupt you there just a little bit.
Go for it.
To infuse this. Mathematics is a language. It is a language. And Nigerians and West Africans are excellent at mathematics. I mean, there is no power in the world that, actually, no, there's no human in this universe that can rival Nigerians when it comes to mathematics. So,
are you sure?
Oh, if they're so good at
South
English, I am so sure.
Michael, you're right.
You can have competition, but Nigerians are the best.
No, this South Asian every single day.
Oh, no, you wouldn't believe it.
The mathematicians, they're all Indians and Pakistan.
Yes, it's true, and that's because the environment that they have been provided allows them to grasp and learn mathematics quicker, and yeah, in a healthier environment. Nigerians do not have that opportunity. They do it differently, but the individuals that you see coming up and beating all the other mathematicians in the world are Nigerians. And you see it happening over and over again. But yeah, it's there. But it's not only math, but it's also computer science. Nigerians are very good at computer science. That's a language. That's a whole bunch of languages, but they're extremely good. But that's just to say that, to emphasize the idea of communication as being really necessary to promote yourself and improve, to develop yourself. It's part and part. It's very fundamental, very fundamental. Go ahead, Eddie.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm always stand. I was thinking, Michael. I guess the other person I know, Dr. Leslie.
Hello. I love the way you think. Long pauses.
You see what? Yeah. It's I can take my time to think, right? I have to think. So the only other maths genius I know is half Nigerian and half British. No, half it. No, yeah. That's let's call it that.
Yay, Professor Roxana.
No, my youngest son.
Okay. I was just thinking of Professor Roxana as well. She's also a math genius.
Math genius indeed. But now my son will tell me he gets it. I don't understand the word of it. I don't know why X minus Y has a square. I don't know what that means, but he gets it, right? I'm saying so. Maybe there's something in Nigerians understanding maths, Michael. I think, You heard it. You heard it. Even in computer technology, we're struggling in African countries. Not enough people have the skills that businesses need. Maybe I heard what you said. And Anthony, how you doing? So glad you're here, Dr. Ayoda. Thanks for joining us. He says everything boils up to having the enabling environment, as earlier mentioned. If the environment enable, we have to go and get it ourselves, my friends. Okay, let's hear from Dr. Leslie. Dr. Leslie, share with us.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, thanks for that insight. And also Annie and Miss Natalie Thomas. Okay. You just mentioned something about Nigeria. The fact is that we look at our education system in Nigeria here is poor, but somebody just wrote something there. All you need is sometimes it is not about you having it in that what do you call it? In that any of the schooling environment per se. The good things about Nigeria is we don't just look at we being educated. Nigeria naturally, they are resilient people and they come out with something that is in them. They always do this. Our environment is competitive naturally. I'm talking about our environment in Nigeria. Is competitive. Competitive in the sense that my father, my father has about 2 children, 3 or 4 children, for example. My father will want all the children to be graduates. He will want to ensure the children are graduates. That mindset in them, that mindset creates enabling should I call it healthy competition? Yeah, I want to call it healthy competition. It creates that competition. You see your neighbor. Your neighbor has 4 kids or 3 kids, 2 are graduates, and you as a father, all you're struggling is to send your children to school to make sure they graduate from the university. And after graduation, what do you want to see? You would love to tell people, your neighbors, your kindred, your relation, anybody that, oh, I have 4 graduates in my home. My children are graduates too. Oh, one. Oh, that's already complete. Oh, that's beautiful. Now that alone creates that mindset in them and also create that attitude. So anywhere they go, they create they create enabling environment for themselves. They don't need to get to UK. They don't need to get to United States. They don't need to get to anywhere. Last year, between 2023 to 2024, almost all the educational awards when it comes to school, best this, best graduating, best this in America, in Austria, in United States, in UK, especially in UK, most of the schools in UK are Nigerians. It is not because they left Nigeria to go to UK. That's why they were able to perform. When you don't have it inside of you, you can't bring it out. It is what is inside of you you are able to display. Nigerians believe in competition. They believe there is this competition around Nigerians. They grow up with that mindset. Every home wants to produce graduates. Every home wants to produce mechanical engineer, uh, chemical engineer, computer scientists, name it, doctors, lawyers, and all that. So with that mindset, they go out there. You see, they have that aspiration. They have that aspiration, that sense of aspiration where they want to become the best. They want to become the best. They want to become the best. So each time they do anything, they put themselves. Recently, about 3, 4 universities in Nigeria, about 2 universities or so recently in Nigeria, were ranking among the top universities in the world. It is not because of just the facilities. Nigeria learned to create an enabling environment for themselves. For example, when I go to UK, for example, if I go there to study masters or study, I want to go back to do another PhD. What do I do? It's very simple. In the PhD class, in the class in PhD, I'll be 3 times ahead of them. The way they read, I stayed in UK for many years, in Manchester for several years. The way they handle their education, the way they teach, a Nigerian student will go with 13, 15 subjects. They will cram all they could. They will learn they will learn everything they want to learn. All that is in their mind is to study and become the best. They at that age, they may not be able to study to understand it better, to understand, to have the better understanding of the subject. But they have this mindset where you create that competition around that. Okay, as I'm going to school, the best I can do is I want to come out with first class. That's the language. And because of that kind of mindset, they become resilient in everything they do. If they don't get to the top, they don't rest. Just like, for example, like for me as a Nigerian, if I don't get to the top, I will never rest. If I don't get to the top, I will never. I saw somebody was mentioning Vusi. Yeah, Vusi is one of the best. Good. Now, in Nigeria, anytime Vusi come to Nigeria, he loves talking to Nigeria. Why? He find it so easy to blend. He find it so easy to communicate. So easy to communicate. Because what he wants to say, most of the Nigerians understand what he wants to say. They understand his language. So the fact is that, like what Michael just mentioned, he mentioned language. Now, it has to do with mindset and how you communicate with yourself. How you communicate with yourself. What are your aspirations? What do you want to become? What is your sense of purpose? A typical Nigerian has that kind of mindset naturally. So that is why you see anywhere you find Nigerians, they break through anywhere. Now, for example, when I visit most of these African countries, I wonder how they think. Sometimes when I go out there to talk about certain things, I see that they don't even understand what I'm saying. They find it difficult to blend. So a typical Nigerian he has this versatility. He understands what he wants. He knows how to go about what he wants. And secondly, a Nigerian family, a typical Nigerian family understand units, understand what it means to be responsible. Once a Nigerian, as long as you understand what it means to be responsible, it's easy for you to understand your purpose, and it's easy for you to be accountable. So when you start see Nigerians just keep doing it the way they know how to do it best. Now I went to study the life of the Israelis. If you read the Bible very well, I don't know if these ones are the original Israelis, because from history and so many things, they talk about the Ethiopians, the blacks are the first Israeli. They are the chosen Israelites. But along the line, something happened. I don't know. But what I know is the Israeli we have today, if you look at their life, they're in the midst of terrors. They are in the midst of terrors. They try to be them. They try to be the best of themselves. The people around them don't want them to. The people around them always look at them. They always want to be. They always want to display supremacy over the other neighbors they have, the neighboring countries and all that. And the neighboring countries said, no, we don't want that. And if you go to the Bible, if you go to the Bible, or you go to the Holy Book, they fought too many wars. The wars they fought, too many wars they fought, made them become stronger. They become resilient. They want to go far to get what they desire. They always have this mindset, and they practice this what do you call it? Law of one. When I face one thing, I want to get it. When I put myself together, I want to get it. That's the way Nigerians are. There is nothing Nigerians will put their mind into and they will not succeed. No, it's not Nigeria. That is why you see they have the best doctor, they have the best scientists, they have the best mathematicians. Like somebody just mentioned, the best mathematician we have in UK. Not only UK, we have mathematicians in Russia, one of the best in Russia. Today, some of the nuclear weapons and all that, we have in Nigeria there. I'm trying to remember his name. I think I will go back again to my archives to go and check that. We have in Sweden, we have several United States. We have the computer scientists. We have several in United States. In Nigeria here, a people say this. A lot of people say this. especially from the Western world. They said, Nigeria, they say when you come to Africa, most Africans don't understand what it means to be computer scientists. They teach the outdated languages. Nigerians are ahead. They go out there to learn it themselves. They do it themselves. After reading computer science, which I understand that, okay, the computer science, all what I read in computer science is about these guys, about this, who invented computer and all that. So what do I understand about the language? As a scientist, do I really understand the language of computer? If I don't understand, what is computation? If I don't know, what am I computing? What numbers am I computing? What's the meaning of 0? What's the meaning of 1? What's the meaning of 9? And what's the meaning of 8? Like what Michael said, communication. Understand the language you speak. If you speak a language, understand the language you speak. When you understand the language you speak, you know what? You give yourself sense of clarity. It is this sense of clarity that makes you to achieve anything, that brings accomplishment. So they naturally put themselves in that level. They practice it over time, and it now become a lifestyle. My kids today, if I have my children today, should be able to be more better than me. They should be more successful than me. They should do better than me. So it is just like I'm competing with my kids. And I told myself that I'll be best, I'll be one of the best in the world. So my children should not be better than me. That's the way I think. So what I mean by my children will not be better than me, I have to be the man that will make provision for my family. I have to be responsible. I am not waiting for Mr. A, Mr. B to come and take responsibility. So if I know that I'm responsible for what I'm doing today, I will become accountable. So when I become accountable, I will have sense of purpose. And it is that sense of purpose that gives clarity to what I want to achieve. So that's how Nigerians think. That's where you put them. So when you put them in that level, they understand what it means. And if you look at the subject we have today, whether you're a professional, you're an entrepreneur, if you understand what Dangote went through to build the refinery, you understand that entrepreneurship is not cheap. The journey is hectic. The journey are full of thorns. I don't think desert-like journey cannot be compared to entrepreneurial journey. So you have to, a lot of things. Some people say, okay, he got money from the federal government and all that. What about those who got money from investors and don't know how to use the funds? Because it is one thing for you to have the knowledge of what you want to do. It took his time to study refineries in the world and discover what I would do is to build the biggest refinery. It's not just building the biggest refinery. I want to look at 600,000 stuff producing per day. And what is my focus? That in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 to 9, 10 years, this is what I want. This is what I want. I want to become the biggest oil magnet in Africa and all that. That must have been his dream. He succeeded in sugar. He succeeded in salt. He succeeded in cement. Now, people said Dangote created monopoly. Yes, it's a strategy. If some of us have read, what do you call it? Blue Ocean. You know, when you read the Blue Ocean, you have the blue community, you have the blue whale community, you have the red whale community. The blue is competitive, while that of the red. You create a niche for yourself. You create competition for yourself. You become the competitor. So if you understand that, you will monopolize almost everything. And it's not your fault if you monopolize anything. And it's not your fault. That is why in most cases, as an entrepreneur, don't seek competition. See yourself dominating. When you see yourself dominating, you will become number one, you will become number two. But for me, I don't have option. I don't have plan B. I only have plan A. If I fail, I fail. If I succeed, I succeed. That's the way I think. There's nothing called plan B. So when I invest my funds in something and I fail, I just have to go back to the drawing board and start all over again. I like it that way. I love it that way. That has taught me so many things in life, so many lessons, that today I can sit back and tell you what it means to grow a business in 1 month, in 6 months, especially with the help of AI. You know, last 2 weeks we were talking about AI. How many entrepreneurs in Nigeria, in Africa? You know, look at it now. In Nigeria right now, as I speak with you, most people know how to use AI. People use AI for research. People use AI to do their homework, assignments. Not until you have this mindset that AI is not just something that will give you output. AI is a language that you have to speak to. It needs to master your language, and it should be able to communicate with you, interact with you, and understand what you say. If AI understands your language, the more input you put, the more you prompt, it speak your language. Because over time, what you've given to that AI is the way you think. The way you think is the way you act. The way you act is the way you write or the way you reason, which is the same thing as thinking. So if you're not able to put yourself in all this level, you cannot be, see, you cannot be so successful. Now, when you look at it, a lot of people, we talk about our educational system. Harvard today have outdated most of the topics and most of the modules they use in Harvard, most of the courses they use in Harvard, they are becoming outdated, they are becoming obsolete. They are trying everything they do with their research centers to see how they will update their knowledge to fit AI. Most schools in the world today have outdated knowledge. Most schools in the world, the best universities in the world. How? If the best universities don't have that, why? How come they're not able? How come they're not able to teach what they call business education? How come they're not able to teach you entrepreneurship that makes you successful? Is it the theory job? Is it the theory? You know, most of the things we do is we do what do you call it? We do simulation. As an entrepreneur, go into the field. You know, that is what Stanford wanted to do, or that's what they are doing. That's why you see most of the startup today, most of the big startup, they are from Silicon Valley. When you have the idea, you have the knowledge, the little money they give to you, they will put you in a level, in a process of what do you call it, simulation. You go out there, you act it, behave as if you are selling to somebody. You start behaving as building a business right there. Because it is the more you practice, the more you learn, the more you have sense of mastery, the more you start master what you're learning. So they put themselves in that environment to see how they can build up entrepreneurs. And Silicon Valley are the only one that builds very successful entrepreneurs. And check most of the entrepreneurs. They are not graduates. They didn't graduate. They did not graduate. They did not graduate. I thought they did not graduate. So they are not great. Why? Why? Is it not? Is it because they cannot really study the courses? No, the courses is not their focus. Their focus is to achieve something bigger than the certificate. And today they go anywhere to talk. They give them honorary degree, they give them this, they give them PhD and all that. What is about the 4 year school? What is about the institution, the university we have today? But even in Harvard, what's about it? It's to teach you how to become a professional, it's to teach you how to work for someone. Is it to teach you how you can serve a master? They should start teaching people how to become solo, how to succeed themselves, how to grow business themselves, how to start in a volatile environment and see how they can come out of it and become very successful. Not an enabling environment. That's the difference between Nigeria and many African countries. We don't just need an enabling environment. We need an environment that you can turn it around. So they don't teach that in school. So there are so many things that are the conventional that are conventional. We think of things that are innovative. So what do we do? What kind of skills do you have? Do you have the innovative skills that will drive growth? Do you have the innovative skills that will drive sustainability? Do you have the skill that will create impact to your community? Because it has to start with the community. So when you start having those skills, Michael just mentioned something. Communication is one of the best skill ever. A genius cannot communicate his idea or whatever he has without having that skill to communicate with people. I mean, tell people what you have. Tell them what you are. Albert Einstein and the rest. They did that either in writing or oral or any way they want to do it. So we need to understand the kind of skills you must have for you to become a successful professional and also a successful entrepreneur, so that you can grow anything, or you can grow an enabling environment, or you can grow anything you want to grow. You can sustain something, either business or your career. So, any thank you. Let me allow others to talk. So before I come in again.
There's a lot you said there, my friend. A lot. Look, I said, I guess I love your point, and the enabling environment is in our minds partly. It's also not where we think it is. Like, we think it's the government. We think is the it's what the state gives us. It's I tell you, the most important enabling environment that you've mentioned as well, Dr. Leslie, is our family. It's our families. It's a secret, but I just told you the secret, right? When we truly give our kids the love and what they need, this is what many of the kids in diaspora get. Many of the kids Michael mentioned, the genius kids. Dr. Leslie calls it competition. I guess maybe I call it ambition. But that all of that comes with peace of mind, where the kid can focus on that purpose you talked about, Dr. Leslie. Focus on what they want to create, how they want to impact the world. It seems, sadly, many of our young people go through university in Nigeria, for example, and then they end up on the streets anyway. What is that about? What's going on? Something's missing, Dr. Leslie. Something's missing. I guess, as an employer yourself, I would love to know what you see in the people you employ. But look, I think everything is so the family is so important. The family environment, that's the most enabling environment that children need. Let's not get it wrong, right? If we get that right, I think we know at least our kids have the right mindset, the right focus to be to achieve something, to be the best. Yes, of course. But I think that's the foundation. Once you have the focus,
Okay. If you
then we're talking
okay,
practice. You said practice and learning, Dr. Leslie. I'd say I'll leave it there for a second. Now we need to practice. Practice. Don't just learn. Don't just read. You have to do it. Implement. Practice. See how it really works. Again, this takes me back to do it local, do it small. You're not ready for the big until you do it small. Look, I started my marketing agency 10 years ago. Right? I thought, if you ask me on day one, I'll say to you, I want to work with Coca-Cola, I want to work with McDonald's, I want to work with a global brand. I wouldn't have known what to do with them. And I probably got fired very quickly, right? If not lost of money, right? I'm saying we have to learn to practice, and as we practice, we get better. We learn better. We keep learning. We'll get better and better. So the time will come when we are at the level that our businesses need. It's not a linear process necessarily. I think we're very good at incremental growth, incremental improvement, incremental change. But let me tell you, the world calls for exponential growth. Now, I mentioned right at the beginning, this is about you going from you to you squared. You on turbo. That doesn't mean you have to work harder. It means you have to think better. Strange that. Yeah, Michael.
I'd like to interject. I was talking to my friend over here, and we are in agreement. Leslie mentioned something about simulated environment. That is a mental exercise where you put yourself in a position where you can, or an enabling environment where you can do what you want to do in terms of getting those skills, acquiring those skills. You put yourself in a safe environment, a simulated environment, just like a pilot would. Just like a pilot would in a simulator. And that's what a lot of companies here do when they want their pilots to learn an aircraft and how to fly it. They put them in a simulator first, so that they don't go put them in an aircraft, let them fly, and then kill themselves. No, they know not to do that because they have gone through the simulation and mastered the necessary skills to be able to fly that aircraft. It's just like the government being able, enabling or providing solutions. That's a simulate. It's kind of like a simulation. The government has to enable, like putting the ground, providing ground for farmers to sow the seed. The government provides the land and also takes away the trees so that farmers can farm. That's the enablement. To enable the farmers to grow the seeds and then on top of that, not only they're enabling the farmers to grow the seeds, but they're enabling the farmers to do some work and hire people, etc., so that they can drive unemployment down. That's just an example. Environment is important. Thank you very much, Annie.
And I say, if the government does give us an enabling environment, we have to create it ourselves. And like you say, Michael, it starts in the mind. It is in the mind. The simulations, it starts in the mind. And if we're determined enough, as Leslie is saying, we'll find the opportunity. We'll find the where. Not we know the what. We'll find the where can we do this. Sadly, most or many people will have that mindset, find themselves going out of the countries, into the diaspora to find that way to actually practice their genius. It's a weird thing, right? Dr. Leslie, please. Yeah,
Okay.
Talk to us about the people that you employ, the people that you see. Where are they skill-wise?
Okay. I said this 2 years ago. I keep saying it in that our program, personal development. I keep talking about that. It has to do with L&D, R&D. I do L&D and R&D a lot. Now, everybody I employ, when they come into the system, first thing is this: I learn how to structure my organization and create systems that can run themselves. Systems that are reliable to bring in what do you call it? To let the operation run itself. So when you create that kind of system, so what do I do? First thing is to understand what the people that are bringing in, what do I want them to achieve? So I tend to put them in that level. So it's like creating a simulator for them. I create a simulator for them. I put them in that level where they learn to operate, they learn to take a role like the CEO, where you can do it yourself. All I need you to do is to understand how, in that environment, commit yourself to it and see how you can make yourself responsible and become accountable. It is when you become responsible and accountable that is when I start seeing that, oh, what do? I start delegating assignments, start delegating certain things to you. So when I start delegating certain things to you, I see that you spend 4 or 5 hours to do it because you just came into this field or you just came into this project. You don't understand it much. You have to start learning it. So in learning it, you start reducing the time. Instead of 5, 6 hours, I start teaching you how to become efficient. How you become efficient in that time when you start learning efficiency and all that, you become effective. Then I start teach you ways how to rate yourself to become productive. You now understand what it means to be productive. Now, the moment you have a task to reduce from 4 hours to 3 hours, from 3 hours to 2 hours, you can do better from 2 hours to 1 hour. You've been able to master what you are doing. So I create an enabling environment for them. I'm not waiting for an environment to be enabling for me to succeed. So for me to thrive, it's not to wait for anything, for anybody to create an environment for me, enabling environment for me. I don't like I said, I keep saying this. I don't like the word strive. I don't strive, I thrive. So I work harder to ensure that I thrive. Now, one of the things I see that most of them after graduating, they come back to look at it because of something. They need to have what they call sense of diligence. They need to learn how to be disciplined. They need to walk with purpose. When you want to walk with purpose, you don't need money. All you need is the mindset and the attitude. Sometimes you may not have the skills. The most skillful people are not the most successful people. No. The most successful people are people with attitude to thrive, to drive, to resist, to be resilient in what they do. Over time, they grow. Life experience is costlier. Life experience is costlier than failure. Okay. Life experience is costlier than debt. Life experience is costlier than debt. Most people get scared. They don't want to experience difficulties. They don't want it to pinch their skin. They're not ready to have thick skin. They don't want it. They just want it easy, easy, easy. That is why I used to tell people that don't assume. Don't assume. Go out there, go and see how it works. If it's working this way, you have story to tell because it's experience. So I like to put them in that level, and I teach them what it entails to succeed. What is the thing I'm doing? This is how I want to do it. Some of them do better than me. Why some? They keep learning, and before you know it, in a short time, before I know, they do better than me. So when I'm supposed to spend 10 hours, when I'm supposed to spend 10 hours in accomplishing a task or a project or an assignment, it just takes me 2 hours because I have 3 other persons who can do my job. It's simple, like what Michael just said. The first thing first, if anybody is coming around me, especially when it comes to that, I tend to tell you my vision. I use what I did with copywriting to do that job. 4 P's. I do promise, I do picture, I do proof, and I do push. I will promise you, first and foremost, I will paint the picture of my vision. This is how it will get to. In the next 3 years, if we're able to put this and all that, this is how we'll get to. So if we have somebody who is an engine that can speak to the youth through the government, through the NGO, through this, through that, not money. That is the work. That is the job of NOA. Is it a National Orientation Agency? That's their job. Go into the people, tell them what they should know, tell the youth how they should go, what they need to do. After NYC, after the 1 year program, tell them how they can go about their life. If you don't want to do business, what career do you want to throw? What do you think you can do better? What skill do you have you can add to what you read and go ahead with it? Create a career from it. See, when you start telling people the vision, start letting them know how they want to do it, it's easier for them to do. I used to have the developer, designers, some of them today, some of the designers and some of the developer and all that. I turned them to project manager. They develop products, you develop products. The product you are developing, do you understand what you developed? No, you don't understand. You cannot create a product for abstract. Cannot create a product from abstract. No, you don't create a product from abstract. You need to go out there to learn. So what do? Go out there, get the content. What are the contents? Go and get the content. Get the content from review. Get the content from feedback. Go to the market and check what is in the market, what is in for the market. In this kind of solution, if I put it to the market, will they buy? If they will buy, what are the things you need to do? Pick up every information, bring it back. Turn it to offer or turn it to product. Simple. So they now understand how I manage my product, how I manage my project. So you as what do you call it, personal assistant, I also take you to the level where you manage project for me. You just need to learn these things. So at the end of the day, you'll see that they now buy your vision. They are buying your vision because they know that when they follow that path, they will get somewhere. So not until somebody is re-educating them. When someone is re-educating the youth, re-education does not mean that you have to give them money. First and foremost, re-educate them, bring their mindset and bring their attitude back to what they should do. Let them have what they call sense of diligence. It is the sense of diligence that will drive them to become disciplined to achieve something great. No wonder the holy book says something. That's my favorite part. Seeth man diligent in his work. It will not sit with ordinary people. It will sit with nobles. When a man is diligent in what he does, you will become extraordinary. You will attract the kind of people you desire. If the people you desire are $1 million, $10 million, $50 million, $100 million, you will attract them to you. The moment you attract them to you, you have value. Your value makes them to see you as an authority. So in order for you to exercise your authority, what happens? They need to pay you to exercise your authority. The moment you get to that level, you start seeing yourself succeeding in anything you do. These things are principles. When you practice the principles, you understand, your purpose will be clear. So not until you start re-educating them. Everybody I employ, you don't just push them to, you don't just give them responsibility. First thing, give them orientation. I create orientation. First thing I do is to create orientation. My orientation is 1 week. The next 1 week, I expect you to play. Play. Now, in joking and learning 1 or 2 things and all that, you become familiar with the people you are working with. Once you become familiar with the people you are working with, it is easier for you to tell them what you want, how you want to achieve something. When you're not familiar with an environment, you don't succeed. You cannot do anything in that environment. You're not able to display. You're not able to put anything. Your capacity, you see, you look at yourself, you'll be so cold. That inferiority complex will come in. You have to give people confidence in an environment. The moment they have that confidence in an environment, what happens? You see them start flowing. You see the man you think that is a dummy, who will become the genius. That is what Nigerians do in abroad, in America, in every part of the world. When they travel out of the country, they go to the United States or so, or they go to UK, they go to any part. Somebody is receiving them. It is not that the person is teaching them what to do. And for you to receive me means, oh, man, this environment is enabling. So what do? I think it's high time for me to start showing my skills. You see the person start coming, start unleashing his potential. That innate potential, that thing that was dead, will become active potentials. The moment they become active potential, what happens? You will see result over time because somebody or the word they spoke to themselves created an enabling environment for them. So there must be re-education. So that's why you see most of the youth we have in Nigeria, after they call it, a lot of people say garbage in, garbage out. No, I don't truly believe it's garbage in, garbage out. The fact is that if they go in, they come out. You see, once they go in, they come out. When they have sense of belonging, they see how important they are. And they see, I can also contribute to the society, even with what I have. You will see them, they will start having this sense of diligence. You will start becoming responsible and want to be accountable for what they are doing. It is that something that drives. That is why for me, like I said, I do L&D and R&D, learning and development, research and development in my organization. No matter how small it is, I don't need to invest 10 billion, 20 billion, especially now that I have ChatGPT. Like recently, I did something. Everybody that is working with me, I teach them how to use ChatGPT because I use ChatGPT to create quick, high converting documents, either content or copy, either landing page, sales data, any of those things. I do them. I use Lovable. Immediately I create it. Before you know it, I start generating funds. In less than 24 hours, I'll start generating funds. Why? First thing I do is this. I taught most of them Gummy Search. Gummy Search owned by Reddit. I just go to Gummy Search. Gummy Search is audience research. Is audience research platform. Go there to research the kind of people you want to sell to. There are always this question tags. There are always question. They always have question they ask. They want you to ask question, ask question. When people keep asking questions, a lot of people will come with feedback. You will see the response. A lot of people say, "Oh, I have this kind of this too. This is what I have. This is my answer to this. This is my answer." You start picking those feedbacks and see the kind of people you are creating products for. I taught them for 2 weeks. As I speak with you, we're able to churn out over 3 to 4 products right now. So it's about you understanding the people you are employing, the people you are employing, the people you want them to drive a vision for you. Make people drivers for growth. Don't make them what do you call it? Don't make them just translators. Don't make them to translate growth. They should be drivers. When you create a driving force in an organization, your organization become more innovative and transformative. It's simple. It is about you, the number one person. Put your people together, put them and let them understand what it means. Show them, tell them the vision, tell them the mission. Turn your mission to movement. They are moving towards a goal that you want to achieve or towards certain goals you want to achieve. Create it as movement. Don't say they are families. Create it as movement. Everybody is moving to one goal, to want to achieve certain results. You will see over time that environment will now become enabling. They will not have time to talk rubbish. They will not have time to do this. They will have time to invest their time in what they are doing and make mistakes so that they correct themselves or someone corrects them. They will not be scared to exhibit their talents. They will not be scared to unleash their potentials. They will not be scared to share their ideas. So that's how I do it. And it has been working for me. Really, 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 really working for me.
So much, my friend.
Thanks.
So much. Now, and so Dr. Anthony says the challenge is that the important information being shared by Dr. Leslie is not known by undergraduates. Isn't that so true? Right? Look, Dr. Anthony, we'll keep trying. All we can do is this information is now out there, right? Anyone can watch a replay if they find the video, that is. Anyone can connect with Dr. Leslie and have a conversation with him. I think with that, but the point is making it, it starts within, right? There's a diligence, you say, work with purpose, Dr. Leslie. Right? So that's important. I guess just so that I'm not accused of being super biased for ignoring the elephant in the room. Let me play my last video for today. That way, it's different parts of the conversation. This is more about what others can do for me rather than what I can do for others. Again, another 3 minutes or so. So bear with me, my friends. Enjoy.
We have firstly, let's describe the problem. We've got a multitude of problems. One, the country itself, because we have a nation now that frankly is facing a number of challenges, including, load shedding, including the various issues that we face as a nation. That is driving away some of the talent that we already have as a country, and we see more and more people leaving the nation. The second point, which is really a problem for us, is that we're not building skills fast enough as a country to be able to meet the demand that we have. Right now, we estimate that in technology only, we have approximately 300,000 vacancies in the country, and that number is increasing by days. So I think we need to create an initiative, which is a country initiative, to build skills for the nation. And I think this is urgent, Devin. We cannot delay any longer. We need to create a mechanism in the nation where we come together, both civil society, academia, and private business, to produce what I believe could be a national initiative to identify core skills that the nation needs and go hard at building those.
But having said that, you often have the private sector, which often hits back at government requests to do more, pointing to a number of things: policy uncertainty for one, the slow pace of economic reform. How does a company like Ascension navigate through that? Invest, still address those skills on agenda level, for example?
Look, we all of us as private sector companies are doing the little that we can, frankly, to improve the situation. But Devin, the point I'm trying to make is the issue is so serious that it's no longer just what I as an Accenture can do by myself or any of my competitors could do on our own. What we should be doing is to come together, both public sector, private sector, civil society, and create a national program. We have started this initiative already with like-minded folks, where we are driving an initiative where we no longer just build for Accenture only, but we're building for the nation. Because the point, which you're alluding to is everyone is trying to do something small for themselves. We are beyond this. We are now in a zone where we need to think much bigger. We need to think the nation. We need to think how critical this is for our people. In a country with so much unemployment, I mean, you've seen what youth unemployment is in the country. Statistics don't lie. We do not have an opportunity to continue doing what we're doing, creating small-scale initiatives. We need a large-scale initiative. We need to build 1 million jobs every 5 years in this country. We need to be able to do that, we need to build skills at scale and be able to offer it to South Africa for companies like us who require those skills. And also we need to be able to send them offshore. Just to give you a sense, Accenture only is using, I have to utilize skills outside of South Africa, in India, in the Philippines, in China, just to be able to deliver what my clients here in South Africa are asking for. We don't need to do this. We need to be focusing on building skills here in country and using South Africans for those jobs.
All right. Just before.
It's a serious conversation. Clearly, you see, it takes everyone, right? It's not just Dr. Laces of this world. I mean, as individuals, we have to take responsibility for our learning, for our development. Let's not ignore that part. It's on us to seek out what we need to learn. I'm sure almost every government has a structure, an outline of what we need. Businesses certainly know what we need skill-wise. Does your small African business, your startup, know what you need skill-wise? I say many don't. And have you got a system in place to develop people? Again, I say many don't. We need to change this. Only we can change this. No one else can, right? Is that Christiana? Let's not forget the brain drain from Africa. Yeah, and look, I hear you, of course. This is the quirk. Dr. Lacey talked about our genius. Michael has too. We can achieve. We achieve so much in the diaspora. And we don't seem able to do the same at home, right? This is a weird thing, right? Dr. Lacey talked about eradicating our youth. Again, it's not education is not a once done and done thing. How do we know? Say, what we've done to eradicate our youth? I suppose Dr. Leslie mentioned as business educates or re-educates the people who come to work for him. Because look, education is theory, education is concepts, education is ideas. We need to turn those into practical solutions. That's been said already, Dr. Anthony. This means doing, applying, implementing. That's how we. That's how we start the eradication. Dr. Leslie talked in great detail about how by going out to market, to talk to customers, talk to suppliers, talk to people in your sector, you get feedback. And look, again, one of the best ways to eradicate our youth today, my friends, it's online. The internet. Stop looking at dumb videos. Stop watching rubbish. Stop. Yes, I know you want to be a YouTube star. But there's all the knowledge in the world is online, all of it, literally. I could say many things, but we have more intelligence now than the world has ever had, and it's all online. That's the reality. We need to push ourselves to go and find that information. Natalie mentioned Dr. Roxana, Professor Roxana, the math genius. She's a YouTube star. How many of you are watching Dr. Roxana's YouTube videos if you want to learn maths? I wonder. Not many, Dr. Anthony. This is my problem. Not many actually seeking that information, learning. That's really going to make a difference to our skills and our knowledge. Of course, we love entertainment, but we need to do more and better to chase the ambition to be better than the rest. Dr. Leslie talked about it so beautifully, right? We are destined for great things. If only we actually believed, actually did the work to achieve those great things. Now, how do we get to education done? And then Natalie, Michael, Dr. Leslie, I will happily let you answer the point if you want to. Nat, I'd say I'm getting ready to come to you for your Dr. Leslie. I see you're muted.
Okay, yeah. I just saw what Anthony Ayode sent. The fact is, the churches are organs. They are viable organs in African communities. Churches. The churches are like government. People respect pastors than even their wives or their husband or their mother and father. The churches should go and re-engineer and reorganize and start thinking how to empower the youths, not giving them money. Like what Annie just said, it is not enough for you just to educate them about how to succeed or how to become successful in business. Like we keep saying here, create something like a simulator. It's not that expensive like people think. All you need is your time and effort, and create a structure and a system that people will start coming in to learn one or two things. The Harvard we're enjoying today, I think the Harvard was created by missionary. Most of the top universities we have in the United States are created by missionaries, created from the church. They think that what would they give to the society? They want to give something to the society. And if you go to many of the schools also in UK too, they have the same thing. They have some schools created by the missionaries. What do we give? What do we give? What do we give in return to the society? What do we give back to the society? You have to create something like not just a training section, not the one you do today, tomorrow, and you will not want to continue, because ability to sustain will help them to grow and start putting them together. Okay, let me deviate a bit. Look at what this man said, the South Africa demand the essential talked about. The government has their policies, the government have their laws, the government have everything, regulation and all that. The people are not there to work. The people are not there. They don't have the skills. If you go to South Africa today, you see many of the whites have the right skills. They go out there to push themselves and do what they want to do. The Germans and some of the Indians and some other persons who are South Africans there, they use their skills. The Black South Africans, they don't invest their time in developing their skills, developing themselves. Instead, they just want to get small money, which is short-term gratification, how they will enjoy themselves and in short time, as long as they are able to have money to take care of themselves, take care of their family, if at all they have, pay their rent and all that. You need to deny yourself gratification in the first place and think of how to improve your skills. When there are people, that is one thing I love about Nigeria. I keep saying it. I love Nigeria for that. As we have one of the highest number of unemployed youths in the world. But you know what? We have so many of them. They invested into they invested into entrepreneurship, and they build one or two businesses for themselves. Go to Computer Village we have in Lagos. Go to Aba. Go to Onitsha. Go to some other northern areas where you have small one or two small business, where you have farms. Go to some of these places. In spite of insurgents, in spite of terrorism and all that, people still thrive. They still do business. They still grow themselves. They still do something. It's not a must that I have to go to university to have a certificate. If I'm good in entrepreneurship, I mean, if I go to I go to entrepreneurship. Like, look at the Igbo model, which is the same thing as the China. They do entrepreneurship, leadership. They do they do entrepreneurship. I mean, they do apprenticeship, entrepreneurship, and leadership. Somebody needs to learn, and his master, he will now learn the skill, the craft, he will learn the trade, entrepreneurship. He will learn how to sell. After the trade, the master will come to settle him. Go and start your own. That is business leadership. Go and start your own. You start with entrepreneurship. In order to sustain it, you need to initiate leadership in it to manage the business. You are the number one person that has the vision. You need to run with your vision. Some people have to come to work with you. Over time, the business will start to expand. That's using that simulation process to churn out people that are ready to do something in their life. Churches should learn. Churches to start taking, churches to start taking responsibility, not just giving the youth 200,000, 1 million. Take responsibility to train them to see how they should learn. When you give them 10 million, in spite of all the 10 million you give to them, they will go out there and spend the money and do whatever they want to do. Before you know it, they are gone. That is what is happening with most of the startup we have in Africa. Most of the startup we have in Africa, investors come with their fund because the guys came up with an idea. Do they really have the skills to sustain the business? Do they have entrepreneurial skills? Do they have leadership skills? Do they have the skill that they will be able to manage? Managerial skills? These things are very important. So when you are putting money there, that is why you see most of the investors, they want to see that you are now making money out of what you are doing before they will put up their pre-seed. They'll come up with small money to support you and say, okay, if you can grow, they'll put more money for you to grow. They need to learn. They need to have those things. When you prepare those things for them, they have those tools. It's easier for them to drive. They become drivers for growth. So that's it. So that's my contribution anyway. That's my last contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, Zirin, asking for, for what we need when we're successful is always, say that essentially, I will invest in leadership skills when I'm successful. It's how people think, right? I'll invest in management skills when my business is working and I'm being successful. Yeah, that's like I say, it's like saying to the fire, give me heat, I put wood in when you give me heat. It doesn't work like that. We have to invest in ourselves, invest in our education and our learning. And there's so many sources, as you mentioned, Dr. Leslie. Christiana is agreeing with you, about the churches. The churches can do so much to help the youth to learn and implement. I've never known them to do so, but Christiana says missionaries created education foundation and institutes that still stand today. Yeah, okay, that's news to me. Of course, I imagine our churches, they do something good. Not enough, though, if you ask me. But I think Christiana, your point, that Leslie definitely agrees with you on this one. It's not just about educating our youth. It starts with taking pride in doing the best to serve our countries, push ourselves to learn and implement what we have to learn. I agree with you. It's that drive, that passion, that Dr. Leslie called it competition. I guess, like I said, I call it ambition. That's probably what's missing. We need to stop hanging around the streets. Use our time wisely. Have that sense of purpose that we know you need. The one that everyone who succeeds finds within them sometime. No, not everyone finds it. When they're young, when they're kids. Re-education becomes a thing. Halfway down the road in our lives, I think that Dr. Leslie said, who needs formal education? It's not about formal education. It's finding yourself and then the drive to make it happen, which means learning. That's the way you're going to improve your skills, my friends. Look, I'll thank you all. So, Natalie, here's your time now. Are you still there?
Yes, I was just listening to everybody, Annie.
Go for it. Look, now your time must come. You wanted the last few minutes, right? So
Yeah,
please.
I will do my best to keep this really brief. As you know, Annie, and I don't know if anybody else knows, but if you don't, I'm heavily involved across disciplines globally. I have mastered most of those disciplines, and I'm in the process of mastering the others that I haven't quite mastered yet. And as such, I'm obviously on the Global Climate Law and Index, Global Climate Law and Development Index Registry. Based upon that and my own business research, like my R&D, my learning and development, I've found in my research that currently unmet basic needs, digital access and infrastructure, according to the World Bank's latest analysis across 48 African countries, only 25% of people have access to the internet, only 10% have access to a computer, and only 75% have access to a mobile phone. And this doesn't guarantee meaningful digital participation, because urban residents are 3 times more likely to have internet access than rural residents. People in the top 60% income bracket are 3 times more likely to be online than those in the bottom 40%. And the richest quintile is 15 times more likely to own a computer or tablet than the poorest. This gap obviously directly impacts education, healthcare, financial services, employment opportunities, especially in rural and low-income communities within Africa. And I've got so much more information, but I've only got a short amount of time. If anybody is interested to learn more, please check out my profile. And I think that we really need to do an episode 2 of this conversation, because it's been very enlightening, and also it will impact reach. So the more we talk about it, the more people that get access, because everyone that has attended and is going to watch this can share it, and that spreads little ripples. As Dr. Leslie pointed out, those little ripples can make a big impact and help get people into the right mind frame, so that they can take action based upon that empowering information that we're all giving to them right now. But I'm going to shut up now, Annie, because you know what I'm like. I'm very bookish, so I'm going to shut up. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Of course, look, electricity, internet access, infrastructure issues, they are serious. They're real issues. I get that. I always say the day that African countries get 24/7 electric will be the day that the continent is truly transformed. Until then, we're just barking up the wrong tree. We're wishing and hoping. Our kids being left behind. But let's mention AI earlier. I'm saying without internet access, how are young people going to get AI?
Annie, could I just, based on what you've just said, based upon what Dr. Leslie was saying about AI, could I just quickly highlight something that I've been working on? I and my co-pilot AI have literally, whilst everyone was talking, drawn up a completely legitimate, legally binding agreement of service use and confidentiality. And I trained Copilot to do that. And Copilot obviously has helped me, save me some time, by obviously implementing the things that I directed it to implement based upon the parameters that I set. So Dr. Leslie and everybody else that's previously spoken is right. I think AI can be scary for people in more rural areas of Africa, especially those that don't even have access to what we consider a modern mobile, let alone a steady internet connection. So I think we need to address the education and health. That's key. And the disparity between housing is absolutely phenomenal around Africa. Because whilst there's parts of Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, and others that are very lucrative, and the GDP is high, the majority of people that live in those regions are actually very poor, because unfortunately Africa adopted the West capitalism system, and that's deeply, deeply ingrained in parts of Africa now that could actually make a more positive impact if they were to adopt their own economic and trading standards that work for African people, not so much for the West. And anyway, I'm going to shut up now. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure and really insightful to be here. Thank you.
It's good to know you're not moonlighting or multitasking as you're on stage. No, I'm joking, Matt. Of course, I'm joking. Look, AI can do many things, and I guess there's a part of me that thinks to use AI properly, it's not just about knowing even how to prompt. You and I were talking about this earlier, Natalie, right? It's about knowing how to prompt, how to get the content you want, as Dr. Leslie said. Imagine if you had the knowledge, underpinning knowledge in the first place, right? Real knowledge, and then mixed with tools, because AI is but a tool. Different AI is just tools, right?
Well, yes, that was my point, Annie. And the only reason I was doing that legal contract was to secure mine and Africa's collaborative partnership proprietary information. So it was relevant to the conversation. And I will be updating everybody on my latest research soon in various formats. So I love this conversation, Annie, and keep it going. Well done.
Of course, we're going to have it in different versions. I think my next one is probably going to be this issue of whether we need to niche down and specialize or diversify in our expertise. And I fancy that conversation. Like I say, now these people having 25 things in their profiles as expertise. Does it help or does it hurt? So now you know what we're going to talk about in 2 weeks' time, right? Christiana says, I hear the stats about those who don't have access, Natalie. My question is, what are those who have access doing exactly, Christiana? How are they using access effectively to benefit the community collectively?
Hi, Christiana. I absolutely love that question. Annie, am I allowed to answer that? I can answer for myself. I will answer for myself at least. I wouldn't want to answer for my global colleagues, but I can answer for myself about what I'm doing.
I'll go for it.
Well, I personally, I've been I've got my global educational resource drive that I'm currently in the process of securing appointments with various retailers and various tech and software manufacturers. I've been securing loads of wonderful pre-loved educational resources, including basic free resources. I've developed multiple masterclasses, which I spoke about to Annie earlier, and offered for him to trial some of them if he would like. And there's a few, I'm going to be offering those in limited numbers for people across LinkedIn to try very soon. I am on the Act Now team. I'm in the G20. I'm in the C20. I'm in COP. I'm at UNGA. I work across all the United Nations, World Health Organization, various forums. I've got my own forums, and I have a heavy, and I mean heavy, African and Indigenous following, and I'm very, very appreciative of them. So all free information, resources, education, anything like that I have across my social media channels. My social media channels are directly dedicated to professional and community development. And that's how I'm taking action. And I help to employ Africans that have certain skills, as Dr. Leslie mentioned. but that may not have the appropriate support and mentorship to be able to, expand upon those. So I help train them. I also give them virtual assistance work, and I base that upon skills they already have. So I don't force them to have to learn something very complex very quickly. And then as they learn, they end up like as they are working, they obviously learn. And I found that many Africans prefer that because they like to see, they like to touch, they like to taste, they like to feel. And that's not just Africans, that's Indigenous people as well. We are very connected to our surroundings. And I think until Africa can unite, truly unite, all the leaders be aligned, at least with regards to common resources that are essential, I think that we're going to be continuing to have these conversations, to be honest. But I'm doing a lot more. It's just that I could go on forever about the things that I'm doing personally. But I would love to hear about what everybody else is doing. So please, I would recommend everybody, speak up in the comments and keep the conversation going, because that's what this is all about. And I'm going to shut up now. Thank you, Annie. Bye.
Always sharing gems. She didn't mean you, she meant those in Africa, she says. I guess, Christiana, would it be nice for someone to create?
I am a part of the diaspora, though. That's why I'm mentioning as someone that's Indigenous and black and brown.
It's not that, we have this issue of investing in ourselves. Naturally, you have to pay for internet. I think you do.
Yes, I do, and that I have things I go without as someone that's in the UK diaspora, as you know, but I make it work. But the fact of the matter is, I did have access to a 90s UK top of the world class education, and I utilised that as a very young child. So that's a big difference, because I've been able to build upon that.
That's not the point. The point is this: we're still buying data in Africa for internet access, which is ridiculous. There's Wi-Fi. You can buy Wi-Fi packages. Everyone that's worked for me in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Ghana, I've said you have to buy internet. That's 24/7. I'm not going to put up with that rubbish about how I have no internet access. I run out of data. The reason a lot of people, our African friends, don't do these live streams, is simply because they can't access the internet because they haven't paid for enough data. I see this every day. We need to understand that we have to invest in internet access to be able to do more. I think that's the point Christiana is making. Maybe someone could.
Annie, you've hit the nail on the head. Africans need to invest in Africa. Currently, Africans are outsourcing, and they're investing in the West, not in Africa, and therein lies the key issue.
Yes, and herein lies an opportunity for an African to create a solution, maybe several solutions that can disperse or provide internet access to those who don't have it, and they do. I don't know what that looks like. I'm just saying, every problem, as Leslie said, is an opportunity to create a solution. Anyway, look, we can't be here all day, my friends. We've got two and a half hours.
So sorry, Annie. I just want to say something. I tell you today, I think she gave statistics and facts. But if you go to check Nigerians on daily basis that have internet penetration, there are over 100 and something million people on daily basis. So what exactly are they using their data for? What are they using the data for? Now, most of them now, as I speak with you, most of the things they do, they go to do BBN, Big Brother Nigeria, they go to entertainment and all that. They need to redirect. So sometimes some of the information we have online and some of the information, especially United Nations are coming up with, or sometimes the Western world are coming up with, I'm not saying they're not accurate, but I really need them to go to the grassroots to understand how some of these things work. As I speak with you right now, most of the market women we have around in our small businesses here, they have internet. They take the picture of what they have and put online. Yes, they buy data, but so many of them can afford it. I must tell you the truth. Even with 100 naira also, many can afford it. But when they come to the media, they tell you that no, we cannot afford it because we are poor. But go out there, go to the hood, go to the communities and all that. You will see some of them have this internet. They have data. Tonight they have data to do something with. Go out there to play Wizkid music, to play Davido music, to do some of these things. So it has to be redirected. They need to be re-educated and rechannel all their efforts, their skills to something that will be impactful to the community. Thank you.
It is, repackaging, right? Look, my friends, we do have to go. So I'll bring the conversation back. Christian, a bit late now. It's 2.5 hours in. Yeah, hopefully you come on stage and share with us next time. Michael, is there anything you want to share with us before we go?
Yeah, I'm one of those people that like to poke the fire and put the wood in. I know you were asking what I like to do. That's what I like to do. I like to put the wood in and have a glorious fire. And this episode has been glorious. Thank you very much, Annie, for setting the fire and now allowing me to put the wood in so that I can feel the heat.
I like that. Of course, I like that, Michael. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing your genius. Thank you, everyone that spent the time with us. 2.5 hours of your time, you're never going to get back, but hopefully it's been worth your while.
Annie, can I just say one thing in answer to Dr. Leslie? Well, Nigeria's got 237.5 million residents, and over 110 million of those do not have digital access, and that includes mobile devices, and that includes network connection of any sort, and it also includes education access and health access, and it also includes the slums that are within Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya. All of that data comes directly from African sources and that data is shared with to us at the United Nations, the World Health Organization. So it's legitimate data from community members on the ground. It's not based upon global organizations' direct data. They didn't collect the data. The people on the ground did. Activists, advocates, volunteers, and community members within Africa themselves. And that's all I wanted to say. And thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't know whether Christiane is in the studio. I think she might be. Someone's joined us. You're not connected, Christiane and Davida. You can't join us now 2.5 hours in, my friends. This is way too late. Christiana, you have no microphone, no cameras. I can't do anything with you. I can't bring you up on stage. Davida, how are you doing?
I can leave. I'll leave the stage, and then maybe you'll be able to bring Christiana up.
I can have 10 people. She hasn't turned the camera on her microphone, so I can't bring her on stage. We'll stop. You'll turn your camera on, Christiana. You know this already. How often do you do this? You do lives every day. So why is your camera not on?
Annie,
yeah.
The word is not full stop. The word is periodicity.
No, we don't use period in the UK. That's just ridiculous. That's American garbage.
That's just ridiculous. Okay.
I'm tolerating that sort of language. We don't use such a silly word. It's full stop. The guy looking at the dictionary, it says it's a full stop. Even that you have a comma. You don't have a period and semi-period, or I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know what that's
colon. Semicolon.
Yeah. No, I said, what do you call a comma? You're going to make another word for it? It's ridiculous. No, full stop is the word. Davida, how are you doing? You're muted. Christiana, you better turn your camera on quickly or your microphone on quickly. I can't help you otherwise. Yeah, so now you're in the studio. If you're going to share, yeah. Anyway, my friends, look, my two new people in the studio they're not speaking. We do need to go. Now, we're going to have the conversation again, I'm sure. So hopefully you join us there.
Any, Davida did leave a quick message to you in the chat.
I can't. He hasn't come up here yet. He hasn't come up on my.
Hello, Annie. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I apologize. I've had a bad day with network, and I had tried joining since 5:30 Nigerian time, but I've had a thing. Yeah, so I apologize. I just got home now, and it's really dark. I can't turn on my camera, so I just want to say thank you very much for what you're doing, and everything that have been said is very valid. And please don't stop what you're doing. It's been a long time, and I don't want to really disrupt the section. It's what I'll be saying will not be very fair because people have been here for over 2 hours, and it's not just good to keep them that long. Plus, my camera is not on, and I want to do it the right way. Thank you very much, Annie. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your diligence. Thank you for you keep trying.
Come back again, Davido. Come back again next time.
Yeah, thank you, Davida. Thank you. And I hope your day improves.
Yeah,
and also you can comment, leave a comment.
And I hope Nigerian internet Wi-Fi eventually sorts itself out. Like that's what we're just talking about. So I'm glad you got in the studio. So David and I we'll bring the topic back in a variation. Hopefully now you have a better internet day then and be able to join us. So David is a genius, and I love her additions to our conversations. My friends, look, I truly appreciate you. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough, really. But share the event. I guess I would love for more of you speakers to stream the event to your channels, because that way.
Annie, may I share the resource links and source links to the information that I shared in your event today in your comments, please, for everybody to access themselves? Yeah.
Feel free.
Thank you.
Share, and share the link to the event on your, what's in your posts or however you're going to do it, right, on your pages. My friends, look, enjoy. So we're back in 2 weeks' time. Then we can talk about that issue. Around what is that I'm talking about? Specialize or diversify in your skills, in your abilities. Christiana, you got yourself on stage. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody.
Yes, Christiana.
It's been a nightmare to get on this platform. I couldn't get on the platform. I'm trying my laptop, no chance. My phone, no chance. This is the third device I'm using to try and get on this platform this evening. So it's been an absolutely brilliant conversation. What I want to say before you close is let's also think about, I know Dr. Leslie mentioned those who are using the internet for music and all kinds of other things that are not pertaining to really getting them skills up. Here's the issue, even when, and I know, Natalie, you've mentioned the things that you do, even when I go across to work with or to create an opportunity to have services in Africa, data and internet is a big issue. Because I'm here in the UK having issues with data. Let's alone when you're in Africa. So this is one thing I know that happens and comes up a lot of the times is people struggling, and it's funny that Davido is having the same issue. Even when you're trying to work with people, the issue that I keep coming up across all the time is the issue with internet and data, right? So it looks like when we pay for data over here in the UK, our data seems to last and seem to work. What I hear a lot, from those that are in Africa is that data is insufficient, or you're paying a lot of money for not a lot of data. How do we resolve this issue? I remember a comedian from Nigeria who came to the UK, and I think he was spending about a month and a half in the UK or so. And he kept ringing this company to say, when can I top up my data? Can I pay for more data? Because he was comparing the data that he was using in Nigeria to the data that we use over here. And the company kept saying to him, you have ample data, you have enough data for the month to use. So why do you keep ringing us, ask us if we can, when are you going to top up your data? So he said, in my country, I would have finished the data within that week that I've paid for, and I've not used much of it. I say all this to say that there is an issue from my experience with working with, our brothers and sisters back home, is that there's an issue with data, with having the right amount of data, with having access. Even those who are skilled in what they're doing, at times the work itself isn't so smooth, or when you have deadlines, they're seldom met because of this issue of data. Amongst everything else, we need to look at the upskilling, the leadership, the entrepreneurship, and all these things. And yes, I do understand that some people who have the data will use it for other reasons, but mainly my experience in going back and forth is there seems to be this issue of data being so expensive. I give an example of what I'm speaking about. So I called upon the skills of a VA, a few months back, and I paid for the data to be used. The reality is, I was told the data ran. I think it was probably. Let me go back and think about how much data, or how many gigs it was. It didn't last the week, and I kept thinking, how is it that we can be over here, and the amount of data that people seem to eat through in 1 week, we can use that data in 1 month here, I suppose, in the West. So in my humble opinion, we also need to look at that as part and parcel of the process of doing business, of doing work, of working with each other, because light and data is a massive issue. And I'm not saying that Africa stops, but what I've experienced that keeps coming up is this same issue, light and data.
The answer to the data issue is simply to get 24/7 Wi-Fi. That's what I buy for my staff. That's what we need. Buying data is the dumbest thing ever, because files are getting bigger.
Yes, but then I'm getting told people can't afford to do that, and
look, no, I've known Nigerians, for example. There's 4 of them in the house, four adults.
Yes.
They all buy data. I'm saying, well, that's just dumb. Why don't you just buy yourself Wi-Fi
together?
Use, yeah, that's the answer, right? But I agree. There's a problem, Christiana. The solution is always going to be like we do here. We all buy data in the UK, but we don't. We buy Wi-Fi.
Yes.
24/7 unlimited data. Right. So that's to say, we're gonna have to start doing that in Africa too. It's not rocket science. I don't know what they do in US.
I see what Christiana means though, Annie. But do you know what the biggest issue is? The West has stolen poached all of Africa's engineers, and the infrastructure in Africa is crumbling just as much as the UK. And so it's a ethical and moral balance issue in Africa, across Africa, not just in particular parts of Africa, but all over Africa. And I think that people need to maybe balance out their capitalism a little bit.
And that's what I said earlier on in my comment when I said there is a huge brain drain. So if you don't have those that are skilled or upskilled to do the job, that's an issue in itself. If you have those who are then going out to upskill and then not bring in or return and offer that skills back to, collectively to your own locality, what good is that upskill? If you leave your country empty, if you leave your country, thirsty rather, and struggling with skill shortages, then what's the point?
Yeah, I agree, Christiana. I agree. I think that social practices are causing problems all over the world, and I think that everybody is in quite a tailspin regarding social constructs right now all over the world, and I think they're being played out on our streets and on our news update screens. But I think that we can address it by assessing ourselves. Are we morally and ethically balanced? Are we giving back to our communities, or are we just taking? And like you say, Christiana, I think there needs to be a little bit more of a community mindset, where sometimes perhaps we donate a couple of hours a week to our community members for free and Skillshare, because that would have an amazing impact on African infrastructure and Africans geopolitically.
But that's not the thought and idea that's happening right now. The thought idea that's happening right now is, I'm going to want money for pennies and money for everything that I do, even if I haven't got the skills. I'm going to offer my services and say I can do X, Y, and Z when I'm not quite there yet, with the hope that I will probably train myself whilst I'm on the job doing yours. So but I want to charge what everybody else is charging in the West.
You can't, you haven't
Which
got the
makes no
skills.
sense.
You're not good enough. You're not good enough. You haven't got the skills, so we're not going to pay you.
And that's what feeds into the mental health access, the education and mental health access, Christiana, because expectation management is a basic soft skill that is lacking all over the world, not just in Africa.
This is the skills issue I'm talking about. If you have someone who's truly good at what they do, they deliver the results that I want, then they can charge whatever they like, and it's for me to pay them or pay them. I'm saying the problem we have is that when we have people who haven't got the skills, who say they can do X and they can't do X, next time we see someone from another African, we're just like, no, I ain't paying you anywhere near what you think I'm going to pay you. I'm gonna underpay you. But this is a problem that this is the issue at heart. We talked about this for the last 3 hours. Maybe we haven't mentioned this bit, but this is the truth of it, right? African professionals don't earn what they should because they haven't got the skills. Maybe a few do, but the majority just do not. They don't know enough about what they think they're doing. What they so frustrating. But let's not start the conversation of it again, my friends. We must go. Let's look. We'll talk anyway. Let's see how we bring it back. Next week and the week and subsequent weeks. Thank you again.
That's a good place to start from, Eddie. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much as well. Thanks for being here always, Michael. I appreciate you. And we're going to end the show now, my friends. So do like, subscribe, and comment on the video on my YouTube if you and do the right thing. And watch other videos too. Of course, connect with my friends on stage, my friends in the audience. And do join us for Lisa's show at 10 o'clock. In the Metamorphosis, we're talking about, I guess, men's menopause. Yay. Michael, I know you're going to come to that, aren't you, Michael?
Send me the link. I'll be there.
Don't let me be tortured by myself, Michael.
Don't worry. You can share the load with me.
Thank you.
We'll see what we can. We'll see what we can buffer. We'll see what we can buffer. Okay.
Natalie, when are we meeting, by the way?
I am going to message you as soon as the podcast is finished up, Christiana. You literally next on my list. So I will catch you shortly.
All right. Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with the without champagne or rum. Achieve success with Global.